Hello everyone and welcome back to another Skul Slayer video. We are here with a tier list. For everyone who doesn't know, I actually did a poll on YouTube a couple days ago and I asked what should the next tier list be. And the inscription option actually won by a long shot. I think it's like 70 to like 10 for the others, which is crazy. Or like 70 to like 11, something like that. And so like here I am. Now, fair fair thing I have to say is that I don't remember everything by heart here. So like I don't just like see this icon here and I don't know which inscription this is just from the icon. So I will have the Wikipedia, the Skul wiki on the side here to read those, and we're actually going to go by the alphabetical order that they're ordered in. So in the wiki, so without further ado, let's go. First one we have Absolute Zero. Absolute Zero, I do want to say it's just not good. So the thing about Absolute Zero is that you're sacrificing a lot of what would usually be a lot of damage for very little, you know? Like the frost is gonna last a bit longer, but I mean, what's the point if you're just gonna take even longer to kill the opponent, you know? It feels very pointless right now in the game, Absolute Zero. It just there's almost no reason to go for an Absolute Zero build over a normal damage build for like with like artifact or wisdom, things like that. It is just very weak. So moving on, we have Antique. Antique is I want to say one of the worst for sure. So the thing about Antique is it is for defensive builds, and I feel like defensive builds in the game right now are just pretty much a meme, you know. There's not much reason to go full defensive unless you just want to go full defensive and that's it. And I don't know, I could maybe up it to C tier at most for Antique, but that's about it. Like even then, I'm being very generous. Trust me. On the other hand, Arms, easy A tier freaking inscription. Now, something I do have to note is that when we're talking about inscription, we have to consider what items have this inscription, you know? Because you cannot say that arms is a bad inscription if you're always gonna have 4 arms for no reason in any physical build, you know? Gunpowder has arms, Kyrian has arms, Fulgent Dawn has arms, freaking Hope Slasher has arms, you know? It's just like the best items have arms. Simple as that. So it's just you have to consider that arms just will always be there. You cannot get rid of arms without getting rid of the best items in the game. You know, so I feel like because of that, because of the items surrounding arms, it is easily one of the best inscriptions in the game right now. Moving on, we have Arson. Arson, I do want to say, is probably around the B tier here. Like I could say A tier, but I feel like it's a bit more B tier. The thing about Arson is that it excels, like it is so freaking good at clearing rooms, right? It is insane. You can literally just swap in with Arson, swap into a new Skul, and the room will just die. You don't even have to press a button, right? That will just clear the room by itself, which is just insane. But the fact that it struggles so much against bosses, which I feel like is the hardest part of the game, I feel like it is way too situational, right? So yes, you're gonna have an easy time in rooms, but at the same time, Arms is gonna help you in both rooms and bosses, right? So I can't bring myself to put it here. And Arson is also in a similar state to Absolute Zero, where you don't need to go for Arson. Like Arson is like a build that you can work with, but you just always want to go for raw damage most of the time, or like cooldown or whatever, right? There's no much incentive to go for Arson, but it is a decent inscription, I'll say that much. So artifact again, it's the same as arms. Some of the best items in the game when it comes to magic have arms, so regardless of anything, you're gonna have arms. I'm sorry, artifact. regardless of what you're trying to go for in a bad magic build, you're gonna have some artifact. You cannot get rid of it, and because of that, and because the effect is kind of decent, I guess, you know. So I'm not gonna complain about it, but because of that, it is an A-tier inscription, just because it will always be on the build, whether you want it or not, and it's just that good extra help. These things are just like honestly, an artifact right now are what old tactics used to be. So it's just that nice extra hand that you get for just going for the best build in the game. You know, like you just pick the best items, and then the game says, you know what, here have a bit of a boost as well. You know, it's just very good right now. Bone. I want to say Bone. It's ass. It's so bad. I don't think you ever want to go for Bone. I feel like the only reason you would ever have Bone 2 is because, I mean, some Bone items are good, but usually you don't want to go for like 2 Bone items. It's usually just one, like either Mana Bone or Courage Bone or Speed Bone. I don't know, but it's just about Bone itself is just not good, man. It's just like the fifth time you swap into someone, like you get a refresh on the cooldown, like by the fifth time I've already spent, what is it, like 5 seconds per cooldown, so that's like 25 seconds, that's like half a minute, which is a lot. Like what is shortening the time after 5 times gonna do? Like it's just such a small thing that just it almost never really comes up. Brawl is is a weird thing to tier, right? It is not horrendous, but at the same time it kind of is. It it doesn't have the best items in the game, you know. It has some decent items with it, but nothing crazy. And the effect itself is not that great. I feel like it's in a similar state to like Antique or Absolute Zero, where if you have it, it's okay, whatever, you know. I have some brawl, whatever, but you're almost never gonna have it end game unless you're just doing like a specific run for it, just for the meme, you know. You're probably gonna get rid of it soon. It's not the greatest right now. Chase. Okay, so Chase is a weird thing here because I feel like Chase is only good on Pike, right? And even on Pike, you don't necessarily need this. I want to say it's a B tier item, just because it does work on one specific skull, and maybe you can like work it out on some other skulls, but it's either like top of C or like low B tier. It's somewhere like that. It's just not that great, but you know, like it kind of has a use, right? It is not horrendous. Courage, on the other hand, easy A tier. You know, it amplifies by 20% at 2, and it amplifies by 45% at 4, and it has a bunch of good items. Courage 2 is really easy to get. Like, if you don't have Courage 2, you're skipping on some of the best items, or you just got unlucky. Courage 4 is a bit harder to get to, but the effect is really good. The effect is way too much worth it. Like, you want to go for Courage 4, because you're gonna sacrifice what, one good item to get Courage 4, but that's like 45% amplification, bro. So if you have 1000, that is 450% more damage, which is just insane. So I feel like Courage is just so good. And while we're at it, I'm also gonna go with Wisdom here. The same reasoning. A bunch of good items and great effect. Easy A tier item. Moving on though, we have Dizziness, which honestly, Dizziness can just go like straight. I want to say straight here, just because I don't want to say it's as bad as like it's worse than Absolute Zero. They're probably around the same tier here, and it's honestly similar to an Absolute Zero kind of thing, where it's like it doesn't do much. You think it would, but it doesn't. It doesn't do much damage. It doesn't do much stunning at all. It's just not a particularly worth it. It's not particularly worth it inscription to go for, right? Even on like pure stun build, it's just not worth it. Just go for damage, man. It's just not the play. Um, duel. Duel honestly is, I want to say, B tier, because while it has a good effect, especially for things like maybe if you're playing King with Cleaver, or if you're playing anything, or like Rider with Bike, or Werewolf with his attacks, like like the damage amplification is not terrible, but at the same time, I feel like it's just why go for like the 30% amplification damage when you can just have courage or wisdom, you know? It's not enough. It's not enough to put higher, especially since the items I mean the items that have it aren't that great either. So it's kind of in the middle of the road right now. It's just kind of meh. On the other hand, though, excessive bleeding, I want to say it's A tier. Excessive bleeding is one of the rare inscriptions, like status inscriptions, that actually work really well. You can do an excessive build run, and it will be just very good. You know, it has a bunch of very good items. Bleed itself is a very good status. The inscription itself does do some really cool things, especially Bleed 4. You can do some really crazy stuff. You can check out my werewolf bleed run to see what I mean. But you can do some really cool stuff with excessive bleeding, and it's just a very powerful inscription overall. So moving on though, execute is, I wanna say, top of B, probably the best B tier item. So actually, I'm gonna say A. So it is not horrendously hard to get. Like you don't have to go for some garbage as items to get this. But the thing about this is that, how to put this, the mark is on enemies that, I mean, on bosses, I guess I should say, because that's when it matters, that are on 20% health or lower. At that point, you've already killed most of the boss, right? It's it's not that great. Even with like even with the one that makes it so that all attacks are critical, it's just not that good. I did remember it being 40% for some reason, but I know 20% is way too low. I'm gonna put it B tier. It's just by the time this inscription kicks in, most of the work is already done. So this is just a win more kind of thing, You've already won the fight by that point. You don't need this, right? So moving on with Fairy Tail though. Fairy Tail, I want to say an A tier inscription easily. It is, you can build it, like you can build a run around it, and it is very good, and it is not in any way like weaker than a normal wisdom artifact run, right? It's a very good thing having that Oberon to your side, having Elemental's Blessing for that big damage. Lu and Shade on their own just deal so much fucking damage. They help with the room so much. They're just so freaking helpful. Like Fairy Tail right now is a really good spawn, I want to say. So moving on, we have Fortress. Mm, Fortress kind of ass. just gotta be real with y'all. Fortress kind of ass. A 10 HP barrier every minute is nothing. 10 HP is like one hit. So you're gonna tank one hit every 1 minute, and you're gonna use your inscription slots on it when you could have things like courage or artifact or like fucking arms. I don't know. It's just not it. And it says like 40% damage reduced while the HP barrier is active, and it's like, okay, so how much is it gonna affect it though? It's 40% easy a lot, but you're taking off 4 item slots for it. It's just not enough. Like it needs to be way more because, as I said, defensive builds right now are not the best. So taking 4 slots just for this is it's just not the play, dude. Not the play. I've never been in a run and said, you know what, Fortress, I'm gonna go for it. I need Fortress in this run. I'm gonna take it because it's useful to me. Never, ever. It's just in such a bad spot right now. And moving on though, we have Heirloom. Heirloom is right here. So Heirloom, I feel like I want to say it's a B tier thing, just because Heirloom 2, like on its own, is a good one. It's basically Heirloom 2 is basically better Fortress 2, right? You will dodge any one attack, doesn't matter. It will not like deal damage to you, so I do believe you can still do hitless bosses with this. Heirloom 4 though, it's probably not your best bet. So I did put it low B tier, but just because I do value the Heirloom 2 quite a bit, you know, way more than the simple 10 HP. Because you can actually get hit for a lot more than 10 HP, and Heirloom will protect you from that, and it has a shorter cooldown. You know, it's just kind of good. Heritage. Heritage right now, honestly, kind of see you. You don't want to build around your quintessence. The quintessence should build around you, not the other way around. You know, this is only good for some very specific runs like slime or balrog or things like that. But thing is, the best quints right now are orc and troll, and the whole point of the quint is it should build around your build. It should add to your build. You shouldn't take from your build to add to your quint. It just makes no sense, right? So it is a decent description, you know, a decent description to have at 2, but it's just not something you always want. On the other hand, however, Hidden Blade, I want to say it's probably the best inscription in the game right now. Hidden Blade 2 is what a lot of fucking Hidden Blade 2 is literally better than Duel. Duel 4 is worse than Hidden Blade 2. That's how good this thing is. A 30% bonus damage for 5 seconds on boss and 1 second on enemies. 1 second on enemies is really good because you can just cleave through them with damage, because, I mean, most enemies aren't going to survive 1 second, right? After attacks. It's going to be like 1 or 2 hits, they're going to be dead, most mobs. And damages and bosses, I'm sorry. For bosses, if you really do your burst right, you can actually do a lot of fucking damage in that 5 second window. You have the means to achieve it. Hidden Blade 4, however, is when things turn busted. Hidden Blade 4 is a on-demand, pretty much, troll. If you don't find troll, just go for Hidden Blade 4. What? You want to build for fucking what's the name? I forgot. Veiled Mask, Hidden Blade 4. You have Gunpowder, Hidden Blade 4. You have Invisible Knife, Hidden Blade 4. You want to go for like whatever crit build you want, Hidden Blade 4. You don't want to go for any like specific crit build. You just want the crit damage bonus, Hidden Blade 4. It is so freaking good. It is just insane. And as I said, like if you have Gunpowder or Invisible Knife, that means that rooms will instantly clear themselves for you. Like, because the fact that they will proc for 1 second, like all attacks will be crits for 1 second on bosses, means that what? You're gonna proc Gunpowder twice on an opponent? 3 times? 4 times? I don't know. They're gonna die. They're not gonna survive that. It's gonna be over. Honestly, Hidden Blade is the best inscription in the game right now. You can use it in magic, physical, crit, whatever. It is just too good right now. I feel like this is the inscription to always go for. Moving on, we have Mana Cycle. Mana Cycle is kind of B tier, you know. 50% cooldown speed is not terrible for something to have as an extra, but it's not something you want to build for, right? It's just that a little bit of extra thing you can get, you know, it's like 2 items. If you have like the meta attack generator and like whatever else, I don't remember which one have it. It's the actually checking the items, not many great items kind of have this actually. Goddamn. I mean, I guess the World Tree Seed having it is kind of nice, and maybe you want to go for like what, Infinite Bone, but these are two like very hard items to come by, so I don't know if it's like reliable. But I mean, if not B tier, maybe like top of C. But I want to say B tier is kind of fair for this item. It's not terrible, you know. It does its job. It's just not the it's just not the best one yet. And the fourth version, like the inscription at 4, it's kind of ass. Like just 30% more skill damage, by the way. Not even like all around, just more skill damage. I mean, I might as well just have another item, man. Like, I'd rather not waste 4 items, lose half of my damage just to get 30%, you know? It's not the play. Mad Attack, on the other hand, Mad Attack, I want to say it's probably in the same spot, you know? It's, how to put it, it's good to have as an extra, but you don't want to build around it. And skill casting speed, I feel like it's the most useless thing right now, just because I feel like, yeah, I'm not probably gonna drop this to C. Skill casting speed is useless right now, just because attack speed actually affects casting speed for some reason. It's probably a bug. It may get fixed, but right now it's the way things work, right? Like, why go for this? Why go for like 4 items when you can just get fucking pain and despair? I guess, I don't know, and have the same effect. It's just because of the bug. I feel like it's not worth it, and even then, I don't think you'd make it anywhere past like bottom B. You know, it's not the best one, but I feel like it has some potential once things get fixed. Once there's actual point to man attack 4. Moving on with Masterpiece. Masterpiece, I want to. Honestly, Masterpiece like a B tier shit, unless you get the double clone stab. Like, the double clone stab is. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make a. Wait, no. I'm gonna make add a row below, and we're gonna put this here, and this will be question mark. Can't too situational. So without the freaking double clone stamp, this is not worth it. And they also patched double clone stamp, so you can't just like go into a shop, see double clone stamp, restart the game, see again, like until you fucking get the Masterpiece. So that was also removed, but I feel like, yeah, it's just the items that have Masterpiece are not the worst things in the world. Like the voodoo doll is kind of nice and like things like that, but they are. It's just not very playable, I want to say, without the clone stamp. Maybe Princess Box you can somewhat work with that, but the clone stamp is what makes this this just so good. Misfortune. Misfortune, I want to say very high A tier. The first effect is tied for the second highest crit boost in the game. 15%, which is a lot. And again, with 10% you have in base and 15% from this, you already have 25% crit, which is a very good amount to start out with when you have Gunpowder or Invisible Knife, which are the 2 best items in the game, right? And Misfortune 4, critical hits turn all attacks into critical hits for 7 seconds, is in a similar position to Hidden Blade 4, where it's like, it's an on-demand troll, right? It has a pretty big cooldown, but it's not once per boss, which again makes it very good. But it's still just, I don't feel like it's a Hidden Blade level, because Hidden Blade is just too fucking broken even in rooms. This would not work as well in rooms. But it is definitely one of the better inscriptions in the game right now, free. Moving on with Mutant, I want to say Mutant right here. Yeah, let's go. I'm not going to talk about it. Thing is, swap cooldown. You don't want to build around the swap, man. The swap is just an extra thing you add to that. You don't want to remove your build. You don't want to break your build for the swap. You know, the swap should be helping you, not being your way. Poison, A tier, easily. I've made poison runs before, and I've showed that the heart alone, just because this fucking inscription has the poisonous heart, is just a good inscription, you know, because you can actually do a lot with it. You know, the heart can clear rooms for you if you add enough. If your build is good enough, right? You have some good boss killing damage, like some good boss slaying. But I feel like just because you can just add like poison 1 or poison 2 and have the heart and you're good, right? I feel like just because of that, it is worth mentioning as a very good inscription. Moving on, we have Rapidity. Rapidity is not that great. It's probably around here or here. Yeah, it's probably around here. Don't want to build around Rapidity. Rapidity is like that extra thing you have, but it's not that great. Like Rapidity 4 is ass, straight up. Like I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it. It's just ass. But Rapidity 2 is kind of decent, especially early on, right? So I don't want to put it in C because it has uses. It's just you're probably gonna get rid of this sooner rather than later. Relic, kind of ass, not gonna lie. Like the healing you get is not worth the 4 items you're losing for it, and the healing you get for 2 is again not worth the 2 items you're losing for it. If you have it, whatever, that's nice. It's an extra bonus, but you don't want to build around it. It's pretty bad. Moving on, we have Revenge. Again, Revenge. I've never really done a build about Revenge, but it's I don't know, it's just very situational to say the least, right? Like you have to constantly get hit. But to constantly get hit, you have to go for like a beefy kind of build. But to go for a beefy kind of build, you're losing damage. So it's really just, it kind of falls apart very quickly. So I do want to say maybe C tier, being generous, but no way this can go any higher. Like if any of you think it can go to D tier, absolutely, I can agree to that. But higher than C is just a crime, to be honest. Like he's just overvaluing it way too much. Um, Soar. Soar is again kind of C tier. Soar is not terrible, but the items it has are kind of ass for the most part, and the damage, like the things it does, are not that great, right? So at 2, this is just worse misfortune, right? Yes, it is 20% instead of 15, but you have 2 worse items usually, and it is only when you're in the air. This is on the ground too. So this is useful for like things like freaking king, for rider, for sniper. I mean, freaking hunter, whatever you want to call it. But it's just this is just not as useful. And the fourth, like the SOAR 4 is a similar case to, as I've said about many of these, where it's like you're losing a lot of items for just 40%, which is not good. Like it's just not good at all. You know, you're losing way too much. Uh, yeah, right here, freaking spoils. It's pretty bad. You know, you definitely want to get rid of this. Like it, it keeps you in a very specific spot for just 35% more, which is like, I mean, I'm just gonna use arms. You know, like what is the point of this? Anyway, moving on. Strike is one of the best ones. Yeah, for sure. Increasing crit damage and critical has chance to go into even deadlier strikes. I want to say it's either S tier or like very high A tier, because crit is just so good right now, and increasing crit damage and turning things to deadlier crits is a very powerful effect. So I do want to say this is still among the best items in the game, especially because, as I said, a lot of great items have strike. You have things like Assassin Dagger, the Wooden Longbow, you have the Veiled Mask if you want to go for it, and it's just you can go for it without screwing your build too much. Maybe in the 4th version you would need to like sacrifice something, but at the same time, this is really good for things like King's Broadsword, which always crits, freaking the Samurai's what you call it, the Full Moon Slash, which always crits, and it just really is a very good build for those specific cases, right? So okay, so maybe I want to say it's around like a mid A tier thing, right? But it's still very good. Sun and Moon S tier. Is there every reason you don't want to go for this? I'm just trying to think. Like you just get like one of the best items in the game for free, pretty much. Like, it's just so fucking good. Yeah, and you have arms and wisdom. I'm sorry, arms and artifact, which are, you know, as I said, good. So it's just, honestly, it's not like it has this like crazy game-changing effect like Hidden Blade, but there's no reason you would not go for this, right? There's almost no reason to not get it, right? The most the least I'm willing to argue is like very high A tier. You know, I'm gonna say like right around here, just because as I said, like there's never a reason not to try and get Sun and Moon. And lastly, treasure. Treasure I want to say is an uh, top of B. I want to say. So it is one of the best things to get early on, easily. And if you can somehow get treasure 4 early on, that is insane. You can actually go so much plus in terms of money and freaking bones and like holy shit. You can just do so much with treasure 4. The issue is, first of all, you're gonna get rid of it soon. You know, probably around like Act 3, something like that. You're gonna get rid of it, even treasure 4. And second thing is, how likely are you to actually get the treasure 4 early on? Because as we've said, it has to be early on. Unlike Inscription, like Hidden Blade or Misfortune or Artifact, Courage, whatever, you have to get treasure early on. This is not good later on in the game. So how likely are you to get the 4 items you need? I wouldn't say you're very likely. So just because of that, I want to say it's solid B tier, the best B tier thing, because it does work. It is really good. It's just not the most reliable thing ever, right? So anyway, that was the tier list, and I really hope you enjoyed the tier list. Tell me in the comment section below what you agree or disagree with, and I'll be really looking forward to reading the comment section, because I feel like inscriptions are just very up in the air right now. That not many people have experienced every inscription in the game, or like try to make a build around it, me included. I have not made a build around every inscription in the game. I've not made a build around revenge, for example. And yeah, tell in the comment section below what kind of video you would like to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.